Well, new polling shows Donald Trump leading Republicans in 3 key swing states. In Florida, he gets 28% of the vote. Dr. Ben Carson and Florida Senator Marco Rubio are trailing him. In Pennsylvania, Trump gets 23% of support from the Republican voters. Once again, Carson and Rubio are right behind him. Ohio voters also give Trump 23%, with Carson still in second place. But this time, John Kasich, the governor of that state, the Buckeye state, well, he's in third. And as Trump continues to dominate the race, aides estimate the real estate mogul has spent just $2 million on his campaign. That is way less than the roughly $17 million that Ben Carson, his closest competitor, has spent. Wow, we call this in politics, Leah, burn rate. And the burn rate that the other candidates are using is pretty rapid. And when you're spending that money, you could face the same fate as a Scott Walker if it's not coming in the door as quickly as it's going out the door. Remarkable, though. Trump can do it with earned media alone.
Well, it is, but he also, was on TV for a long time. He's a celebrity in our country, and people in our country like celebrities. So this is a man who already has had so much exposure. People know who he is. And on top of that, he's getting so much attention from the media right now. He told Bret Baier last night that the media is unfair to him. I would disagree. He's getting so much coverage from the media right now. He's not going to have to spend as much at this point.
I mean, Sandra, he's got the 3 M's. He's got the momentum. He's got the money. I mean, he's got it all.
Yeah. And to Leah's point, I mean, it's his entire life has been spending money on running for the presidency, clearly. Yeah. I don't know if that was always his goal, but he's been building his brand and spending a lot of money doing so. The Apprentice, et cetera, the loans that he's taken on, he is extremely leveraged with all of his businesses. So to say he's only spent $2 million on running for president or his campaign, it's an interesting number.
Actually, he's not very leveraged. He doesn't borrow a lot.
He has been. How liquid is he?
Yeah, that's another story, how liquid he is. But he's not leveraged. He's not borrowed up. He's illiquid, maybe, that his money's in real estate and stuff that he can't translate.
Charlie, the third N that I didn't mention is message. And the thing with Donald Trump is, while all these candidates are spending millions of dollars on these massive ad buys, Trump doesn't have to. He goes out, people want to hear his message.
That's a great point.
And the media covers it for free. Yeah. Well, they take his town halls, which would cost other candidates $5 million.
To speak to how that happens, though, Donald Trump is so gifted at rolling in the message along with whatever else he wants to talk about. So, and because he's getting so much airtime, it's easy for him to do. He can be on. Hold on. He can be on message or off message. I would say, though, it's more to me, in looking, you talk about the burn rate, impressive that a guy like Dr. Ben Carson can roll in as an outsider and raise, just a few million shy of Hillary Clinton in a quarter, and no one knew his name just a few months ago.
I make this point about Donald. I did a story about this last week. The Bush campaign estimates that when he opens his mouth, like say he goes on the attack against anybody, right, and the media coverage that it generates, both TV, print, on social media, it usually lasts about 3 days. That's equivalent to $25 million in free ads.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
Yep.
I would say this about another thing about Carson. It is impressive, but this just shows you how much money's out there. There is a lot of money for people to run for president.
You also have to consider the favorability, and according to Quinnipiac, Trump has the worst overall favorability rating among voters of the leading candidates and the lowest score for being honest and trustworthy among Republicans. So he may be getting a lot of coverage. He may not be having to spend a lot to get attention, but the attention is not all good attention.
But he's still leading in the polls.
You would know this because you've been in campaigns. The private polls are much more specific and granular than these public polls. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the guys that I talk to that know about the private polls say his support is squishier. It's not as,
I have a question. If he's saying he's willing, and he said this on the record, right, at one of the fairs, he said $1 billion he's willing to spend on the campaign. He says, what difference does it make? I make $400 million a year, he said. So I guess my question becomes, why not spend more?
Because he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
Yeah. Why would you?
And it's early.
Or maybe he doesn't want to. Or maybe, to be honest, maybe this is all a branding thing for Donald. I'm telling you,
and $2 million bucks.
No, but
I'm
also,
thinking jet fuel
you know
prices?
what, Sandra, too, to manage expectations. One, he doesn't have to, but two, the last thing he wants to do is spend all this money of his own money and then not go up. Then the story would be.
Does he have statewide apparatus?
Then the story would be Donald Trump dips into his own pocket and still stays at 23%, even though he's.
All right, we're going to move on to the Democratic side now. If Vice President Joe Biden jumps into the 2016 race, things could get ugly, particularly for Hillary Clinton. Her campaign source telling New York Magazine a team of opposition researchers is working for a pro-Clinton super PAC on digging through Biden's long record in office, looking for attack lines in case he runs. The research has reportedly turned up material on the vice president's ties to Wall Street, his reluctance to support the raid that killed Osama bin Laden, and his role in the Anita Hill saga in the early 1990s. Let's start with Wall Street.
Go after the economy. I mean, he has been presiding over the economy with the help of President Obama for the past 6-7 years or so. And we are looking at an underemployment rate greater than we've ever seen, a job participation rate lower than we've ever seen, stagnant wages. I can go on and on, as you guys know, about the economy and how slow and miserable this recovery has been, especially for the middle class.
I don't think that's what they
where
mean.
better do you
when they
target
talk about
Joe
going
Biden?
after Wall Street, they don't mean that. They mean who his contributors are, and he is pretty popular on Wall Street. I would just say this.
I'm telling you right now, Wall Street's
Right.
already said that they would support him.
Well, I know that, but what I'm saying is going after his ties on Wall Street, though, is kind of ridiculous because you're essentially going after President Obama's ties on Wall Street. This is a problem for Hillary Clinton. You're going to go after the sitting vice president, dredge up Anita Hill, dredge up some of this old stuff, and what you're doing is calling into question at least the nominal leader, who's still the leader of your party, the president.
That's interesting.
I don't see how they
Senate,
actually.
so on and so
I mean,
forth.
I know the Clintons fight dirty, but I don't see how they thread the needle on this.
Can I just ask a question, though, about how Hillary Clinton then runs opposite Joe Biden's economic policies? Because, I mean, she's been having to run a little bit closer to Bernie Sanders to fend him off. So she's like leaning a little socialist. She must be doing quite a dance going back and forth.
Well, they can also capitalize on the foreign policy differences. We've already seen Hillary Clinton start to distance herself from the current administration. Speaking of things like no-fly zones that President Obama has said, that's a lot easier to talk about in a campaign than to actually implement. So I think what we'll see her doing is trying to distance herself on those topics because those are going to be extremely relevant in this presidential election.
By the way, that's the only thing she was doing at the State Department, Harris, based on the emails that we've seen, was dancing. Remember, she was getting jiggy in South America. She was dancing. But let me tell you something. That Clinton attack machine, it is on full tilt, ladies and gentlemen, full boogie.
Well, where has it been over the last few months?
Isn't it like fighting two fronts, like Germany fighting two fronts in World War II? You're going to have to whack the Republicans every now and then go after Joe Biden on the other hand.
But Harris's point is a great one. She's not going to be able to go after him on Wall Street ties because the Clintons have ties to Wall Street. They were part of the administration that gave us this lackluster economy. They played dirtier.
So
the story yesterday about Joe Biden leaking his son's dying wish, when I thought, who would leak a story about a leak?
Yep.
Oh, I know, the people that started the birther movement. We got that picture of Obama in traditional Kenyan garb from the Clintons. They are just masters of this. If I were Joe Biden, I would be waiting for that footage of Hillary Clinton. Remember when he said to her, you'd make a better president than I would?
I doubt they
That's going to be pulled up, too.
Look at what the president said at the news conference on Friday that he gave. Right? He was asked the question about Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, which way. And he said about Hillary Clinton, it's a lot easier to run for president than it is to be the president. And about Joe Biden, he said, basically, I'm going to paraphrase him here, wish him the best luck. I'm not really going to comment at this point. But that seemed like a shot to me at her. Am I wrong about that?
I thought it was, but listen, I'm not a political guy. When I talk to contributors on Wall Street that know these people, they doubt Biden gets in unless it's real clear that Hillary Clinton is damaged goods. I mean, that they doubt it. Now, whether, for all I know, tomorrow he's going to announce he's in it, but I'm telling you what they're telling me.
Well, you said not shocking.
No, not shocking at all.
Well, you may have seen the barrage of commercials, fantasy sports, and the chance of winning, quote-unquote, real money, big money. Now the scandal rocking two of the biggest names in fantasy sports, the serious accusations of insider trading.